Now, for this bit of the segment of this video, I'm going to warn people, do not try this at home. I've noticed there's in a few videos where people have half-armed the sword, right? A lot of people have said, oh, you can't do that with a sharp one. Well, you've seen this sword in action. I'm going to do it with bare hands, and like I say in my demonstrations, when I do public demonstrations, normally a knight would have leather gauntlets or gloves or metal gauntlets on when he does do this in real combat. However, I'm going to demonstrate it without gloves and then with gloves. Virtually half arming the sword is this. As you can see, it is not coming out of my hands, and I've hooked the quillen on my sword stand and pulled on it, and as you can see, no cuts. The way you hold the sword blade is what gives you the ability to do it. That is a technical or advanced technique. I wouldn't suggest anyone learning the sword or just starting out to do so. And this is half arming with gloves. As you can see, with gloves and without gloves, the sword does not slip out of my hand. Now, why would you want to half arm the sword? Well, there's a couple of different things. First, the mother stroke or murder stroke. You're half arming the sword, you come up over. Now, the knight's response to this would be to deflect the blow, roughly like so. So you would hook your quillins on his blade and rip it out of his hands. Now, if you didn't do so, you would just simply slide the sword across his blade and hit him in the head with the pommel. And if you managed to get it down to chest height, well, you'd simply lunge forward with the pommel and pommel him in the chest. You've heard the term "I'll pommel you." Well, it comes from medieval times, and that it literally means to get hit with the pommel of the sword. Now, with claymores and flammards or flambeaux, they have a special thing. They have a recussle. It's part of the blade which is specifically blunt. Right? And the reason why it's blunt is so you can hold on to it, because a sword like this in combat, if someone gets into your reach of the weapon, it is no longer going to hit them with enough force and speed to be able to do that much damage in which this is capable of. So the whole idea is, in mid-flight you grab the recussle and simply go to another attack. That is, like I said, more advanced technique. However, as you see, the recussle is about a 30 centimeter part of the blade which is kept blunt specifically. A lot of claymores, such as the cold steel claymore, you'll see spear guards. There's points out of the weapon around there. While they're down is called the recussle. The reason why the spear guards are there is because as a person walking towards you with a spear, you'd simply go like that with the spike and push his spear out of the way, thus coming in with the rear of the blade to hack his head off. If you notice, my claymore's got a couple of special things on the handle. The ring guard, otherwise a handle to carry it, because it's such a long sword you wouldn't put it on your belt, you could carry it like that. The ring guard also stops the other swords from coming down. There's what they call a ring guard. Now that stops rain and that from getting through there into the scabbard, rusting the blade. Just protects the blade. Other than that, it is also a sword trap. When the sword slides down, locks into there, you simply twist and that technique will rip his blade out of his hands or snap the blade. This is a spear guard. You catch the spear point in there, twist, snap the spear tip off. What's he left with? A blunt stick. Hey guys, Cold One back again. You'll notice I'm in my chainmail now. I've got my chasseurs and Herbigan on. Just a small iteration. The camera, its memory got full and cut out. And I didn't realise that until after I did a bit of cutting without the armour on. And now I'm going to show you with the armour on. And I'd like to say to people that are just getting started in the medieval, either reenacting or fighting or cutting, when you've got the armour on, of course using the sword gets more difficult because it's more heavier, it's harder to move, so you'll have to get used to all that. But just to begin with, I'm going to do a couple of cuts, and you'll see my first cut is going to be hopefully with the rear of the blade. You'll find that a lot of the cuts not just come from the front, they come from the rear of the blade. I don't know if that's in the old video, the first video, because all I did was scroll straight through to see where it cut out. I didn't actually listen to it before now. So yeah, like I said, a quarter to a third of the cuts is done with the rear of the blade when in combat. So it's a good idea to actually get used to cutting with the rear of the blade as well as the front of the blade. Why the rear of the blade? Well, the rear of the blade can come around easy just by turning the blade over. The front of the blade is meant for big power strikes. So you know you got the guy where you want him, and then you smack into him. Anyway. Like I said, a bit more difficult to move and manoeuvre with the armour on. But that just gives you a bit of a demonstration, going slow at it, of what I mean by rear of the blade, front of the blade. And how hard it is to move just with chainmail on. Now, I'll be doing a video on chainmail and plate armour. As you guys know from my previous video, I've got both plate armour and chainmail. So I'm gonna, for the last two cuts, or how many ever cuts I get in with these two next bottles, I'd like to say I'm going to cut on multiple targets at different places, and just watch the footwork with that. I'm also going to change to Valkyrie, my Viking sword, for this as well. As you can see, there was very little foot movement. All I did was turn on an axis to do the two cuts. So and as you can see, if you don't get the full force or enough speed, it won't cut. So there you are. That's the end of this video number 1 of the series. And hopefully in the next video I'll explain footwork in more detail. Thanks for watching.